Hello, my name is David Scher, and I'm an attorney with the Employment Law Group. Today I'd like to talk about a client of the Employment Law Group's, a client of ours that has recently been in the news. And our client's name is Vivian Parra, P-A-R-R-A. Vivian Parra has been in the news recently because she sued her former employer, Centara Hospital in Woodbridge, Virginia, for violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Family and Medical Leave Act. I wanted to tell you a little bit about this case because it's an interesting portrayal and a really shocking portrayal of a trend that we're seeing in the employment arena. Vivian Parra worked at what was known then as Potomac Hospital, now Centara Hospital in Woodbridge, Virginia. She's a nurse, but she was working an administrative role, and she had been there for several years, doing very well and getting excellent reviews. At some point, Ms. Parra discovered that she had breast cancer and she had to have a mastectomy. Despite that mastectomy, she then had a high-risk pregnancy, and despite all of that, she came in and out of work as much as she could to manage her work performance. And things were going okay until she then discovered that unfortunately she needed to have a second or a double mastectomy. At that point in time, she went out on leave to take care of that mastectomy, and everything went okay, and she tried to come back to work. She called her manager and asked to come back to work, and her manager fired her immediately and didn't let her return to work. This is really a shocking result for Ms. Parra. She filed a complaint with the EEOC and told the EEOC that her manager said things like, "Well, you don't look sick to me," and was getting very upset that she was taking the leave necessary to take care of herself, even though Potomac Hospital was itself a cancer treatment-focused hospital. This is really shocking to Ms. Parra. The EEOC agreed and in fact wrote a memo finding that the hospital had in fact likely committed discrimination in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, but the hospital refused still to settle the case. The hospital has since merged, and the people who were once there no longer are, but that really doesn't solve the problem at all. And in fact, it still continues to be shocking that the hospital refuses to do anything to resolve the case with Ms. Parra. Ms. Parra is a decorated military veteran, and she now lives at Camp Pendleton in California and is doing her best to move on with her life, but really wants the hospital to acknowledge the wrongdoing and to make sure it doesn't happen again. The reason I'm bringing this case to your attention is that we're noticing a trend in the industry, especially with recent economic downturns, that employers are turning to employees on medical leave and using their leave taking as an excuse to get rid of them, to simply just not let them return to work once they go out on leave. This is not only a scary prospect for employees with serious medical conditions, it's illegal. It violates the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it can violate the Family and Medical Leave Act under certain circumstances. If you are an employee in a situation like this, or you know someone who is, feel free to find out more information or contact us at www.employmentlawgroup.com. Thanks, and have a great day.